boop. Hey everybody, thanks for clicking on this video. It's going to be a voiceover today while we talk about why I'm doing this Cyber Dragon again. I decided to revisit this Cyber Dragon after so many comments voiced that they liked the raw silver foil on the purple one I did last year. I wanted that first one to match the original color scheme from the original card art, but all the comments solidified my resolve to eventually revisit this card, and I've been wanting to try borderless stripped cards for a while, so this seemed like a good candidate. Let me know in the comments if you like this borderless look. Since I'm in experiment mode with this altar, I thought I'd use the speed paint for this video to do another voiceover discussing how I got into this whole card altering thing. If you like this style of video, please let me know by giving it a like and dropping a comment, as they are more time consuming than just slapping some music on, and I appreciate your feedback. That being said, how did this all start? Believe it or not, I actually started altering cards over 10 years ago already. I privately celebrated hitting 10 years altering cards last fall. I had actually the ultra rare Shaddoll Hedgehog video that I posted in November was kind of an anniversary celebration of that. But when Shaddoll was originally released in 2014, Shaddoll Hedgehog was the first card I ever extended. I don't think I've shared on here before though what inspired me to actually start altering cards. So, the inspiration. The first Yu-Gi-Oh card, the first altered Yu-Gi-Oh card I actually saw was in someone else's binder at Locals. They had a number 11 Big Eye with a Magnemite painted on it. I asked him where he got it because I really liked the idea. It was a cute little connection between the cards. And he said he'd ordered it from an artist in the UK for like $80. I did a double take at that. The artwork was fine, it was clean, but the idea of charging so much for what was really like a pretty simple small painting made me realize there could be an opportunity here for me to combine two of my favorite things, painting and cards. And if it did well, maybe the painting hobby could fund the Yu-Gi-Oh one, which was considerably more expensive. I should mention that I didn't take to coloring on cards lightly. I loved Yu-Gi-Oh as a kid, but Pokemon was the game I actively continued to collect over the years through school, and what I was playing before jumping back into Yu-Gi-Oh. So my mindset regarding the sacredness of cards was very much built up in the "my precious" mindset of a Pokemon collector. My Yu-Gi-Oh cards from childhood were a mixed bag from being played with as a kid before I learned about sleeves. I had a few top loaders and sleeves from a friend that kept my favorite safe, namely the foils, but the commons were pretty cooked from schoolyard play. My Pokemon collection and safekeeping habits, on the other hand, were considerably more intentional. In a binder, all that jazz. I think seeing Yu-Gi-Oh cards altered first opened me up to the idea that any common, inexpensive card being was an option for altering, especially after seeing how the community treated bulk cards. It was almost a culture shock coming from Pokemon, where even commons were still treated with care because of how players liked the individual characters on them, to seeing how Yu-Gi-Oh players treated quote-unquote bulk. I would say that that attitude difference, though, was why I was able to start altering Yu-Gi-Oh cards first. Pokemon eventually followed, but you get yelled at less by randoms when you're altering cards that people are happy to abandon on a table after ripping their OTS packs, or turning through a box and ditching most of the bulk anyway. It wasn't until much later that I became comfortable with altering more expensive cards, and only if the owner of the card was willing to provide the card to be altered. If the duelist wanted that card done, or wanted what I could do to their card done on their personal property, then I was honored they trusted me to do it justice. I still turn down doing certain cards from time to time, mainly because they just already seem like perfection as is to me, and there's like no point in altering them. But it's rare I turn down doing a card simply because of its price point, especially with how drastically prices in this game fluctuate from format to format. For example, a $7 Blue Eyes I did years ago is now over $100. An unlimited Ghost Black Rose Dragon that I did a while back, at the time of altering it, was only about $35 for an unlimited light play. And now they're about $250. So, an Exciton Knight was $80 years ago, and now they're like $20 for the same rarity. I would hope that a person commissioning or purchasing a one-of-a-kind altered cards understands this. The value of the card is what it means to them, not the market. So why extended arts? I tried my hand early on at altering similar to that Big Eye Magnemite, doing altered arts instead of extended arts, and while I could charge more for them because they took more time, I didn't particularly enjoy doing them as much, and there were other artists out there already who specialized in that kind of card alter, so I found a lot more fun in doing extended arts, both from the technical side, like with color matching, but also from the perspective of giving the community something Konami didn't officially offer, full arts, that there was clearly a desire for by many. Originally, I decided to alter cards because so many were printed without higher rarity options, but people loved these cards, and it was a way to show the cards some love back. At that time, the official tournament policy still allowed for altered cards to be used in tournaments that met certain requirements and were approved by the head judge of the event you're participating in. So I focused on cards that didn't have higher rarity options. Some of my earliest cards were the common and rare main deck monsters from Shadal's, Burning Abyss, Klee, and Satellar Knights. To prevent the alterations from being felt through the sleeves to pass the head judge's inspection at regionals, I altered my cards with markers. The ink extensions couldn't be felt through the sleeves. Honestly, the effort and intentionality I put behind this is even funnier now looking back, given how they've started literally printing super textured cards like premium gold rares, prismatic ultimate rares, etc., all of which have way more variants than my alters ever did. But anyway, to the point that, like, eventually they actually changed the rules with the tournament rules was allowing double sleeving just to accommodate their own printing shenanigans with the added texture on these new rarities. Whatever. It's kind of ironic, but after Konami updated the tournament policy in 2019 to no longer allow altered cards in tournament play, I still found more enjoyment in doing extended arts. I just no longer worried about covering up any text on the card, like the copyright info, or that the old policy required to still be visible for tournament use. So if you see any of my older alters, especially the marker extensions, with like the copyright information or like Kazuki's name still visible, those were done during that era before Konami changed the tournament policy. I'll still accept alt art commissions from time to time or have an idea for one that I want to do for fun as a sponsored project, but generally speaking, I'm still happily like in my lane, mostly focusing on extended arts. Although I started with marker extensions on commons, the transparency of the inks I was using made me wonder how they'd look on foil cards. I didn't see any other artists doing this back then, full art stripped foils, and had a lot of fun refining that technique over the years. Of course, I also started offering acrylic-based extensions and learned that it was fully possible to have those also happily fit in a perfect fit sleeve without any distinguishableness between those altered cards and other cards in the deck when face down, either by visually or by feel, so that was a fun discovery. I experimented with many brands of acrylics on cards until I found my favorite, giving me good coverage, fantastic pigment density to get smooth laydown with minimal weight, and good blending for color matching options. I've experimented with gilding cards with gold leaf and silver leaf, etching cards, different materials outside of markers and acrylics, some with more success than others. I've tested many kinds of top coats with varying levels of success, and in short, I've invested a lot of time and money over the years in finding the tools and techniques that work best for me. As Konami has released new rarities, that has also opened up the door for more altering options. I know many people don't like the premium gold rares, but I personally find them really fun to paint, and the end result with the raised gold borders looks pretty cool, in my opinion. I was elated last year when realizing that QCRs can potentially be stripped and extended depending on which set they were printed in, and with all the affordable reprints of popular cards in QCR, it opened up a lot of possibilities for cool extensions. Probably my favorite in recent years has been figuring out the technique for etched extended arts. I've offered stripped and extended super and ultra rares as a commission option since almost the beginning, but I was honestly often unsatisfied with the end result of those extensions, even to the point where I didn't offer them for a couple of years because I just thought the end result wasn't as clean looking as the stripped secret rares. The flat hollow foiling was less forgiving than secret rare foiling, and it was harder to avoid those marker streaks in those types of extensions. So the etched and super and ultra extended arts became the answer to that issue, and I absolutely love how those turn out. I suppose after the Cyber Dragon, borderless etched extended full arts with color should be the next evolution of this altering type. If you're wondering why this is the first time you're seeing a borderless stripped card from me, it's because when I tried this technique early in my altering journey, I kept struggling with it. This is one of those techniques that the acetone will it can get under the edge of the card, which can sometimes warp the back, but even worse, it can actually get between the foil layer and the cardboard layers of the card, and it can create this unpleasant bubbly texture in the foil. And I don't know how to fix that. If it happens, it's just like, well, I guess we're starting over because I don't like how it looks. So I still have a little anxiety about that happening, but I'm more steady-handed now, more confident, more experienced, so revisiting this idea. I'm in my break right now from commissions, and it's just giving me this glorious free time to play around with new techniques and ideas like this, as well as other card experiments, which you might have noticed like on my videos. There are some that have experiment labeled in the title of the video. So those are the things I'm playing around with this month. I really especially appreciate feedback on videos like that with the new altering ideas. It gives me kind of a gauge on what to offer as commission options when they do eventually reopen. If you're subscribed to me on Instagram, you are seeing these things like way in advance before they're hitting YouTube and like the normal feed on Instagram and other platforms. But just a little plug there. Anywho, if you are in your own card altering journey and you're looking for advice, you might enjoy my tutorials playlist as you experiment on your own. Here on the channel, the tutorials playlist has videos on altering supplies, etching tools, how to strip cards, and some others. So might be a good resource for you. I'm hoping to release more detailed tutorial videos later this year, so if that would interest you, consider subscribing. Anywho, that's an overview of how I got into altering cards, some context regarding my background as a collector, and some of the experimenting I've tried over the last decade. I hope you like how this Cyber Dragon experiment turned out. If you'd like to see more of my card adventures, consider subscribing, and if you would like more voiceover videos like this, let me know in the comments. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video, and thank you for supporting my art. Bye guys!